You'd think it'd have to get better in week 2, but we're already starting on the wrong foot. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is here. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your bets today. All right, we'll talk about more upsets, opportunities. Sunbelt could be on upset alert and teams off to a hot start. There could be a few of them. Okay, and JMU is coming to me. And we had the whole JMU preview on Wednesday. We had the whole crossover with John Neighbors, Arkansas and Arkansas State. So we may not talk about those as in depth. But we did get the news. Again, not surprising. Still a little bit disappointing. We don't know what the injury is, but that could be just me. Walker Howard is out for Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Mike Desimo did let it slip that it's some sort of strain. I don't know what that is. But Walker Howard is out. Daniel Beal is in. And he will get the start against McNeese. McNeese had a blowout victory, I think, against even a lower level than FCS. But Matt Viator can coach, and Cajuns better watch out. There is no line on this game yet. Again, we've been over that. Again, those lines for FCS either come out that night before or, generally speaking, the day of. So we'll see where that line is. We could look at ESPN and see if it's shifted in terms of still 93 to 92.8 to 7.2. It's been a couple hours since it was announced by Mike Desimo what was going on. Lunch Winfield is expected to play as well, although Desimo made it clear it's going to be Daniel Beal's games. Now, a couple things about this. It is not fair to say what Daniel Beal did last time out, because he came in right at the end of the game. Game was on the line and just didn't play well. The thing is, though, it did look like he had never played a football game at all. All right. I don't think Desimo helped him by just forgetting the running game. They did not need a touchdown. They only needed, weren't they out by the 30? Then they only need 35 more yards. So, then they got a holding penalty after the scramble that Beal had. So he's got to play better. All right. Now, going into this, I would think that it's going to be 40 or 50 runs. They're just going to run the ball and play defense. And then a few passes. It'd be nice if he threw some screen passes and some swing passes. All right. Wide receivers have to catch the ball. It doesn't matter how good a ball you throw if they're not catching them. All right. And if I'm McNeese, I'm going to make you throw it over my head. I'm going to play up on everything. Okay. I'm going to make you make the decision. All right. Well, I'm certainly not going to do what Carolina did and sit back and let you march down the field. I'm going to be up on your face, and I'm going to press and see if you can hit a ball even just 15 yards over my head. See if you can hit something past me. All right. And I'm going to make Daniel Beal see if he can figure out who's open. All right. But I would presume 40 to 50 runs, if not more, and 10 to 15 passes. I'm going to make this a very, very simple game plan. All right. Past games against McNeese, it's kind of like Arkansas and Arkansas State. There is no plus for the team that should win this football game. I remember Mark Hudspeth telling me privately, if you will, that this was his most stressful football game. If you don't win it big, it's bad. And if you lose it, it's never ending. He was never more stressed. I don't know how many times he played McNeese while he was there, but I just remember him telling me after McNeese that he was so relieved to win that football game. It was the most pressure he always felt playing that ball game. So, and there's incredible pressure now because you lost to Rice and you're playing with the backup quarterback. Now, they may find the running game. Again, they may get the it's not the syndrome, but the backup play, kind of what happened with Jeff Hostetler way back when the Giants beat the Bills in the Super Bowl, and everybody ends up playing a little bit better when the backup comes in. Maybe those wide receivers make those catches. Maybe the offensive line plays a little better. Maybe the defense doesn't take a first half to figure out what's going on. All right. And everybody plays a little bit better. And so Daniel Beal doesn't have to do it all. And then all of a sudden, maybe Bill Davis has 100 yards on the ground. Maybe Zylan Perry has 100 yards on the ground. Maybe Daniel Beal has 50 or 60 yards on the ground. And then they're grinding and, working the clock that way. We'll see. Because the way Daniel Beal played last week, and again, it's not fair. I just remember a few years back, Chandler Fields came in and completed a 3rd and 14. All right. At Jonesboro. Now, I will say that possession ended with an interception. Doesn't mean he still didn't complete when he came in cold when Zion Chris got hurt. He still went and completed a 3rd and 14 when he came in. So it can be done. You only needed a field goal, and Daniel did not look good. We'll see what happens now. He's got the whole week of practice going up against an FCS squad, much better squad than they've had the last couple of years. All right. Do have the big ball game tonight. JMU taking on Louisville. The last time they played them, remember, JMU was just making that jump. It was 34-10, but JMU was just making that jump from FCS to FBS. And obviously now it's been a few years. And I think Louisville is a little bit better as well. I didn't realize this is just Jeff Brom's 3rd season. 23, 24, and now 25. It was pretty good last year. He had a bad loss against Kentucky a couple of years ago, a game that I was actually at with my nephew, DeSamo. And then I still blame him, although it went my favor. Syracuse beat Purdue when they screwed up an extra point. The tight end got a 15-yard penalty for personal foul on an extra point. And then Brom exacerbated it by him getting a 15-yard penalty. So they were kicking off at like the 10 or something like that. And Syracuse got great field position and then ended up winning it on a Hail Mary. Now, I always probably put too much blame on Jeff Brown for that. But it's a big opportunity for JMU, big opportunity for Louisville, right? This is a Friday night football game. It is nationally televised. Apparently going to be some rain. Of course, there's going to be some rain. I was going to walk. Maybe just Uber now. It's unbelievable. Hasn't rained here in Louisville in like 3 weeks, and it's going to rain on my walk over to the game. It's unbelievable. More importantly, it's going to be raining when I walk home. It's crazy. So we will see how that goes. Oddly enough, the lower the scoring, the better. All right. Louisville's got to play a clean ball game. Can't have a couple of fluky interceptions. See if Alonzo Barnett III can play a little bit better. Good to see him. And we'll see if Matt Sluka plays a little bit. All right. Probably see if JMU can keep it close, 24-17. The line is down to 13.5. So we'll see if JMU, I think JMU is going to cover. It'd be big if JMU could get that victory. All right. I think Louisville's pretty good. And we'll see JMU obviously playing Weber State, kind of tough to tell. Louisville blew out Eastern Kentucky and JMU played against Weber State. So it's kind of tough to tell who's good and who's not after week 1. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll keep on going and continuing to preview week 2 of the Sunbelt. We will do that after I tell you about Mazda and DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. All right, we did Jalen Rayner for yesterday's episode. How about Lincoln Perry? All right, again, we had the controversy between the quarterbacks, but Lincoln Perry averaged almost 14 yards a carry. He was amazing for Texas State. What was it? 12 carries, 168 yards off the top of my head. Something like that. 52-27. It was 167 yards, so I was pretty close. And a touchdown. If he had scored multiple touchdowns, he may have been the Sunbelt Player of the Week. But Lincoln Perry was outstanding for Texas State last week in his breakout performance. And if you've been watching week after week, you know Lincoln Perry's performance was not a fluke. And just like Lincoln Perry delivered for Texas State, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday on your order. Stack up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. And Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And what makes Mazda stand out, they go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. As an athlete focuses on every detail, Mazda does the same. From metallic accents to hand-stitched Napa leather. You can feel it the moment you get behind the wheel, the smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so let's see what else we got going here in week 2. I'm going to take the Cajuns. We don't know that line. I think the Cajuns are going to win. Maybe I'll tweet it out when we see the line. And I think JMU is going to cover. All right, here's the big one. This line is actually going up. Tulane on the road, 10.5 at South Alabama. All right. Tulane's known for their defense. John Summerall is known for their defense. South Alabama has looked pretty good. Summerall actually had some really good things to say against Kentrell Bullock. Talked to Derek Nix about recruiting him from Ole Miss, and he says he's NFL ready. South Alabama was very, very vanilla. Let's see if South Alabama could put 2 good games together. They really did not do that a lot last year. I'm going to take South Alabama. All right. They're usually not big underdogs at home. I'm gonna go out on the limb here and take South Alabama. Let's see what they can do. All right. Still going to take the over. All right. I'm taking that over. That's 50.5. I'm not sure South Alabama's stopping anybody too soon. What they give up? 20 points to 21 points to Morgan State, put 38 points up. I mean, they were really efficient. These are not, huge numbers for Bishop Davenport, but they are really efficient numbers, right? Bishop Davenport, 12 of 14, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty cool, right? Kentrell Bullock, 23 carries. That's a workhorse, by the way. 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devin Voisin had 7 receptions, 69 yards. He got the bulk of that. Anthony Eager actually got a touchdown in there as well. But everything kind of went to Devin Voisin. He also had that punt return. They did fumble 3 times, although they only lost it. Bishop Davenport did lose 1 fumble. So we'll see how that goes for that. But I am going to take South Alabama in what would be an upset. They are double-digit underdogs at home. You usually do not see that at this kind of level. That's interesting. Okay. Let's see what time that is at. That's a Saturday at 7 p.m. We could see that. We're doing some Bourbon Fest stuff, so we may be watching that on the phone. All right. A lot of people are going to be watching this ball game. Alabama taking on Monroe. At this point in time, that was a fait accompli, right? Alabama was going to blow out Monroe. They're still a 36.5-point favorite. But boy, if Alabama doesn't show up, or if that team that showed up against Florida State shows up, don't we give Monroe a fighting chance? Because Monroe can play some defense, all right? If Alabama has struggled scoring, Monroe can play some defense. They're not very good offensively. We're not going to sugarcoat that, right? They still have trouble passing the football, but they can play some defense. Don't be surprised if they make this a ball game. Remember, Monroe has history beating Alabama. It'd be tough to say they're going to do it this time. And would anybody be surprised just because he can? If they do, do they blow it open? Does he go ahead and cover because all of a sudden they can? They're blowing the game wide open, and all of a sudden, he puts on a couple extra touchdowns and makes it, 70-10 just to make everybody happy. If that's the way the game is going. But that'd be interesting. This is a 7:45 ball game, SEC Network. If Alabama doesn't get off here, here's the other thing. If Alabama does not get off to a quick start, that's going to be a tough spot. It's going to be a tough spot for the players. It's going to be a tough spot for the coaches. This is a home game. All right. Don't forget about being on the road. This is a home game. And if they struggle, they're going to get booed in Bryant-Denny. All right. This is going to be a tough spot. So 36.5-point favorite. Obviously, you'd love to see Monroe make it a close ball game. All right. Again, no line with the Cajuns, Zick McNeese. We got Clemson taking on Troy. Clemson did not look particularly good. All right. They struggled. Brian Kelly was right. They dominated Clemson in the second half, and LSU did enough. They were robbed of that touchdown. I don't know if you saw the replay, but they should have had another touchdown. There was a Chris Hinton fumble in there as well. But that's a tough place to play. LSU could win a championship. They're about as good as anybody right now. Let's be straight. All right. That's as impressive win as anybody had in week one. All right. Gonna be tough. Someone did, say the world is not ready for Goose Crowder to throw 5 touchdowns against Clemson in my comments on one of the videos. And I said, well, what's more likely of happening? You winning the Powerball or Goose throwing 5 touchdowns against Clemson? Yeah. What would you take? Would you sacrifice Goose for the $1.6 billion? Let's see if they make it a ball game. Again, Troy's getting better. We like the direction Jared Parker's going in. They had an incredibly strong, fourth quarter. Despite the loss, Clemson still could be looking at the playoff. So the level of competition, there's 2 different things. Let's see if Troy can keep it close in the first half. All right. Kind of like, Georgia State did against Ole Miss in the first half. All right. Let's take a time out. We will come back and look at the rest of the ball games when we come back after I tell you about Upside and FanDuel. Hey, Sunbelt fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. I did it. I've already saved a few bucks on my first fill up. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offer varies by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. And FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here. In fact, technically, it kicked off last night. The FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Okay. I still like JMU 13.5. When we recorded it with John Neighbors, it was 14.5, but it has dropped to 13.5 points. All right. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting fanduel.com to get started. That's fanduel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Again, thanks very much for the continued support. We're getting more and more comments, seeing more, a lot of times it's the same people, but getting more and more people, even people that aren't my biggest fans are pointing out that we had a preview episode of JMU in Louisville. So it is appreciated. We had people reach out. Are you doing a crossover with HBCU? And the schedule didn't work out. And you know what? That's on me. Okay. I did have a couple of days off, couldn't match it up with the HBCU host, and I'm working late yesterday, as the case may be. So we just couldn't work it out, but it's nice to be asked anyways. Hopefully we will work it out sometime this year. But appreciate the support. Don't forget about those audio and those audio podcasts. Again, we're setting a record. All right. We're already got a good number. Apple and Spotify. It is a big, big help. And I am going to learn from the best, posting the audio so it's up when you first get up. So if you're working out, taking a walk, you can listen to it first thing in the morning, maybe before the kids and the spouse wake up and the day gets going. So I am learning from the best. Okay, let's do the rest of a week 3. App State off to that great start, 34-11 over Charlotte. They're taking on Lindenwood. That should be an easy ball game. 3:30 Eastern time, ESPN Plus. Should not be a problem. I'm a little surprised here. All right. Texas State is an underdog at UTSA. I guess UTSA put up a pretty good battle against A&M, 42-24. So that's not bad. But Texas State is a 4.5-point underdog to UTSA. Texas State needs to win that football game. Texas State should win the football game. All right, let's go. All right. They need to win that football game. All right. I think they're going to – I'm kind of surprised. I did not see – let's see how that A&M game went. It was 21-10. It was 21-10 at half, and then 35-17. All right. I'm not sure it was ever that close. 14-10, 21-10, 21-17, 28-17. So it was 14-10 and 21-17. So they got it close a couple of times. But then it went from 21-17, 28-17, 35-17, 42-17. So they got it close to begin the third. Robert Henry had a 75-yard touchdown run on the opening play of the third quarter, and then they didn't score again. And then they didn't score until the end of the ball game. So we'll see. I think Texas State should win that football game. Let's see if they can go on the road and get a big win, which may be one of the last few times they're playing UTSA. I don't know what their schedule looks like with all the Pac-12 stuff going on. So let's see. I was kind of surprised to see that they were, and not only are they underdogs, UTSA is getting an extra 1.5. The fans like in UTSA, or the money people do. Not the fans, but the Vegas, I guess. Arkansas State. We went over this. You can go look at yesterday's episode with John Neighbors. Again, Arkansas is favored by 23.5. I'm going to take Arkansas State to cover. All right, not going to take them to win. I'd love for them to pull off this victory. John Neighbors says if I don't want Sam Pittman to lose his job. I would love to see Arkansas State pull off this victory. Tall task, but it would be nice to make them sweat. All right. But, I mean, couldn't this be like 35-21 is still a convincing victory, and you've lost by 14, but you still cover. All right. It's going to be disappointing if this is, 52-10 or even 42-10. Yeah, that's 32. So they would cover, so I want to see Arkansas State cover and see if they've taken it to the next level. Because if they do cover and they do take it to the next level, then they are going to compete for that Sunbelt West title. That's where you start to realize they're that good, right? If they give Arkansas all they can handle and say come up short 35-31, then all of a sudden, aren't they going to be Sunbelt favorites just like that? But if they get blown out, we still can't really tell. I'm taking them to cover. All right. Southern Miss, Jackson State. We won't know the line there. Southern Miss better be careful. Okay. They better be careful. Again, we don't know the line. Better be careful. What time is this game at? That Arkansas State game is also on ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus. Southern Miss, Jackson State is that's a 5 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Central time, I guess. That's on ESPN Plus. Better be careful. Just don't lose 2 in a row. Okay. Jackson State's going to be pumped. They did win the first ball game. They beat Hampton 28-11. Southern Miss should win this football game. All right. They should win this game. Don't get cocky. Go out and win the football game and take care of business. All right. We don't know what the line is. That won't come out. Again, it will not come out until Saturday. All right. Marshall taking on Missouri State. Marshall did cover against Georgia. They're favored by 10.5. Take care of business. Get it done. Kind of win and move on. Missouri State, they're 0-1. They got embarrassed by USC. Yeah, they just scored touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And Old Dominion taking on North Carolina Central. Again, a game I just didn't get a chance to see. Some balls off some wide receivers' hands. And Colton Joseph didn't quite play as poorly as his statistics would indicate. Still, they didn't do anything. And you got to come back and win against North Carolina Central, who've actually already played 3 ball games. They beat Southern 31-14, and they lost to New Hampshire 27-10. So you need to take care of this one, because then you got Vatech and Liberty and Coastal coming up. You really need to take care of this one. Again, you just don't want the season to spin out of control all that fast. So Old Dominion is going to win this football game. All right. Again, the line won't be out until Saturday. And then Georgia State against Memphis. Memphis is 13.5, favored on the road. It'd be nice to see if Georgia State does this. This is TJ Finley. Is TJ Finley really going to play? Is he going to start after 2 days of practice? I think I was still in Lafayette the first time TJ Finley was playing for LSU. It's 2019. Was he still with LSU? No. Let me see. Do we have TJ Finley's stats? TJ Finley. It says 2020, but I don't think that's right. 2020 LSU. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. Okay. So no, I would have been in Mobile. Well, 2019 was Burrow, so Burrow would have played all year. And I guess TJ came in. Was it Max Johnson got hurt? Not Max Johnson. That was the next guy. Not Max Johnson. Somebody else. The next guy got hurt badly. I forget. Let's see if Georgia State can handle it. Memphis is pretty good. Be nice to see if Georgia State can cover, maybe even win. 2 touchdown underdog. I think Memphis is going to win and cover. It'd be nice to see if Georgia State can compete. As far as competing, USC's taking on Georgia Southern. I guess I was just wrong, just flat out wrong. Georgia Southern was embarrassed after the first 20 minutes of the football game. They just didn't show up in the second half, and was mostly starting in the middle of the second quarter. They just stopped playing. And USC, as we mentioned, just scored touchdown after touchdown after touchdown against Missouri State. Same thing could happen this week. I mean, we could be going from picking Georgia Southern to win the division to Clay Helton on the outs very quickly. Like, who do they got after? They got Jack State and Maine, and then they're at James Madison. I mean, what if they start 2-3 with wins over Jack State and Maine? And that's not out of the realm of possibility. Don't take Jack State lightly either. I don't think this game's going to go Georgia Southern's way. Thank you, Captain Obvious, but they're 20, and I don't know why they're 28.5-point favorites. You would think they would be more than that. And Coastal Carolina against Charleston Southern. Who did Charleston Southern play? They lost 45-3 to Vanderbilt, but Coastal just got hammered by Virginia, and they 48-7, and they just didn't look good doing it. They, 261 yards of offense, 161 yards passing, 98 yards rushing. It could be a long season. Who was the quarterback? MJ Morris. I mean, he's 20 of 36, 163 yards and an interception. We've seen worse. We'll see. I would think that Coastal will win that football game. What are they projected at? Let's see. It is 93%. Yeah, don't lose that football game, coach. Don't lose that football game. All right, so the plan is to come back and do an episode of Locked On recap of the JMU football game. At least of a whatchamacallit. A couple of segments is the idea. All right, that's going to be the idea. We'll see what time I get out of there. It's going to be late night anyways, so I might as well do it. All right, as long as it's not pouring, I may have to take an Uber back. I don't live that far away, but I don't want to walk in the rain. We'll see what the weather is. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. All right, been a good week. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to going to the game. I think again, I went to Kentucky, Louisville. Never been to a Louisville press box, so that'd be fun. All right, but hopefully JMU fans are coming in. And again, I'm well, you'll see Friday. Giving warehouse tours on Friday if you want to come down before you come to the gate. All right, we're 30 minutes from downtown Louisville, right off of 65. Down at Jim Beal. All right. A little plug in there for me. All right. Maturation matters if you want to come down and find out what the idea is behind the aging process. I'm happy to tell you. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Dave Schultz. You've been listening to Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you Saturday. And if not, then you'll see it on Monday.